Check, 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 check.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I am Lauren Pearson and happy to join y'all today. I don't have a beer yet, but excited to be on the panel.
Hey, Lauren.
Hey.
Hey, I am Martha Underwood, and I'm excited to be here today. I did grab my beer, so I'm ready.
Good. That's awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for being here today. We just wanted to welcome everyone to Hump Day Hops. And we're so glad that everybody's here during this super crazy time. We really appreciate your support for Girl Spring. Who knew that we were kind of made for the coronavirus pandemic, both as an organization and as we're able to do a virtual charity event. So this is exciting. The thing that's always differentiated Girl Spring is our website, and it's how we reach the most girls. Since the quarantine began, we've had a 25% increase in our traffic on our website, and we've been able to engage girls locally who have really had a lot more time on their hands. Girls have created more content for their peers in the form of podcasts, storytelling for younger girls, and we've also added resources dedicated to COVID-19. We're proud to say that with the help of supporters like yourselves, we've been able to continue to serve our audience. And so that's exciting. So we wanted to thank all of our event sponsors, Sorority, Tatum Design, Feather and Go Capital, Blue Cross. And thanks also to our jewelry sponsor, Avani Rupa Fine Jewelers, who is sponsoring a gift certificate giveaway. If you bought a ticket, you got entry into the contest to win, and you'll be notified after the event. People love this event because it's fun and you get to drink beer at lunch. Here is what people have to say about this event. Okay, we've already done that part. I missed that. Okay, all right. You may have already done this part too. I missed that as well. So anyway, now here's where my real part starts. Okay, let's say it's not too late to support Hump Day Hops and Girl Spring, and we're here until 7 p.m. selling beer to go. I'm Liz Farrow. I'm past board president of Girl Spring, and our panelists today are Lindsay Davis of Spartan Invest, Lauren Pearson of Somerset Hightower Advisory, and Martha Underwood of BBVA. They are all very smart, very experienced in business development and movers and shakers in Birmingham. Will you each introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your roles? Lindsay, why don't we start with you?
Hey, everybody. Lindsay Davis here with Spartan Invest. I'm the CEO and co-founder. And Spartan Invest is a full-service turnkey provider operating in Central Alabama. And we sell turnkey rental properties to investor clients all over the country and the world.
Great. Lauren, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm Lauren Pearson. I run a advisory practice here called Somerset. And recently we launched this program for women called The Wealth Edit, which is an online membership platform for smart women to talk about money.
Awesome. Thanks. Martha, will you introduce yourself too, please?
Sure. I'm Martha Underwood, and I am Senior Vice President over Retail Software Engineering at BBVA USA, a global bank. So we make sure that the branches run smoothly and our digital products are available to our customers. I'm also the founder of Executive Estrogen, where I help and mentor women going into corporate America. So I'm happy to be here and talk through how we can help and advance and empower women and girls.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here today. I think we all kind of want to know the same thing right now. When are we going to recover, and when is the stock market going to stabilize? I mean, just all day long. What can we invest in now for cheap that's going to bounce back? I mean, when can we go to the Piggly Wiggly and walk wherever we want? All those kinds of things. So before we get into questions, or before I get into the interviews, I wanted to go over a couple of logistics. to your right, which is my left, there's a chat window. You can type your questions there and we'll do the best to answer them at the end. So anyway, uh, let's get on with the questions. So let's see, who was going to be my first person? Let's talk a little bit about, the 2008 crisis and how it differs from the 2020 crisis, and kind of draw our conclusions from our experiences there. So, Lindsay, I'll start with you. I mean, you started in this career because of the 2008 financial crisis. So, what did you learn that you're kind of taking out of your playbook for this present time?
Well, as a lot of people learned from the 2008 experience, I mean, obviously that was, sorry, I'm outside and the wind's getting me, but we learned that honestly, real estate investments, we saw the market take a huge crash, but that was primarily your owner occupant markets. The space of turnkey real estate has been kind of a tried and true investment, and for a couple of reasons. And what everyone found was that it was just an opportunity for people to invest with cheap money, interest rates being extremely low, like we're seeing now with the fluctuation of the market just causes the interest rates to continue to fluctuate and go down. And what we've been able to see is that, one, there's always going to be a need for housing, no matter what situation, no matter what the economy is doing, that is always going to be a need. And then two, there's going to be far fewer, I guess, in any time there's any uncertainty in the market, the ability for owner occupants to purchase their own properties gets a little bit tougher. Guidelines, restrictions are put in place, like we've seen now, like they were back in 2008. So people are going to be more apt to go back to renting properties, et cetera, et cetera. So the rental portion of real estate is kind of one of those, I never want to say recession proof, but pretty recession resilient. So that's one thing that we were able to carry from 2008, and that we're continuing to see as our property management company that manages about 1,200 properties in Jefferson, Shelby, Tuscaloosa County. We're still leasing properties, getting tenants moved in. We're still collecting the overwhelming majority of rent, and that we've been able to continue on. And I know that it's been difficult for a lot of companies, a lot of small companies, to be able to say that. So that's one thing that we've been able to learn is the stability of real estate.
Okay, great. Thank you. I bet, Martha, the need has never been greater for technology in a big global bank during this crisis, where we're all kind of on an island all at our own homes. Can you talk a little bit about, how y'all adapted to going completely
Digital.
yes, digital, and what you see as sort of your roadmap post crisis?
Well, one of the good things about BBVA is that we've always kind of been on the cutting edge of technology. And so technology has been our guiding light. But with 93% of the bank working remote and we're still able to service our customers, it's just a testament of the technology that we built. And so we had been looking at trends and how do we service our customers through what we would call DIY or digital channels. So online banking, mobile banking, we've seen a significant increase in that across the board. We already had our millennials kind of using it in Gen Zs, but we're really starting to see the boomers adopt the technology. And I think we'll continue to see that. And so I think BBVA has been in a great spot in that sense. One of the things that we are looking at, and one of the things that I think will happen, is smaller banks and credit unions are the ones that are kind of suffering because they just did not put the capital into their technology. So they may partner with larger banks in order to maybe white label some of the technology to be able to service their customers, because that's going to be key. What about our customers that or people who need banking that are in rural areas? They're going to need to be able to have access to digital tools to be able to service their financial needs. And that's what I think we're going to continue to see. So BBVA will continue to be dedicated to being on the cutting edge edge, using data to service what household needs and not necessarily the individual might need, what their patterns are, and to serve up those products. And I think we'll continue to see that going forward across banking.
Just sort of as a follow-up to, do you ever hear from your customers? I mean, is there a fear of, um, I think we're kind of all getting into sort of this surveillance state and who owns the technology, and we're on a Zoom conference call right now that's not, parts of it are headquartered in the US, parts of it are headquartered in China. I mean, um, are you having your customers ask questions about that, or you think that people are just sort of comfortable and you're just getting more adoption in the product set that you already had?
I think it's both. So people are always going to be a little bit leery from a privacy standpoint. And so that's why we are diligent from a security. How do we make sure we have the controls in place to protect our customers' data and to limit fraud? And so that's always at the forefront of our minds with any one of our tools. That's pretty much built in. And so our job is to communicate with our customers that we do have those safeguards in place to protect them, if they're going to go through digital means, because some are more comfortable going into the bank and seeing someone and signing a document instead of e-signature and signing documents, because they may think, hey, easy for fraud. But we make sure, and I think we do a great job of communicating that, hey, yes, we do have those safeguards in place.
Okay, great. So Lauren, I expect you've been super busy during this time, keeping everybody from having a panic attack, for all the money that you manage, for folks. And so, can you just kind of talk about how this compares with your experience with 2008, and sort of what your go forward advisory strategy or investment strategies are for your customers, and just kind of how you're looking at the landscape right now?
Yeah. So the financial crisis of 2008 was primarily caused by the deregulation of the financial industry. And what that meant is banks were allowed to engage in hedge fund trading of derivatives. So when the value of those broke down, banks stopped lending to each other. And so that's what caused, it was like a systemic crisis. So that was a tough one. I mean, that was right in when I was coming into the industry, and people were very scared. Not that they weren't scared this time, but I can tell you, practically speaking, that felt much scarier and potentially devastating than this crisis. This is a healthcare crisis that's kind of uncovered a lot of other things but we were probably in recessionary territory even before we had this, what we could call like a black swan event. That's an event that you're just not expecting. So that's what I would say here. I do think that there's usually volatility in an election year, so we can add that on top of it. So I think that volatility is something that we need to get comfortable with, if we aren't already. I know in my private practice, and hopefully you do this with your advisor too, but we've been conditioning and getting ready for volatility for the last year, because there really wasn't a lot of it in 2019, and several years before that too. So what I mean by that is hopefully there's a few things, and we're a financial planning practice as well as an investment firm. So, I tell people that their investment strategy, it's a little bit like, and everyone's situation's different, certainly not going to give individual investment advice on the internet, but I think that that generally speaking, investor behavior, it's kind of like dieting is the way I think of it. Like, how they say it's like 80% what you put in your mouth and 20% exercise. Same thing with investing. It's like 80% your market behavior and 20% what investments you're actually invested in. So, so with my people, what we've been shifting towards, some things that work as general ideas are higher quality and lower volatility investment options. So that can be found in a lot of different places. But I wouldn't say that advice necessarily changes. You need to have 3 to 6 months in an emergency fund. That's just what people should have, so that you can weather any sort of storm. And there's some math that goes behind that too. And then as far as investing, there's a lot of statistics that say market timing, the only time that I've seen people actually lose money is going to cash, spending too much money, or trying to chase like the next flashy object. But if you can keep with a consistent strategy, more than likely you're going to be a successful investor.
Okay, so I have two follow-up questions, I guess, on that. So, I've read some articles recently, and certainly, I mean, I think, like the Dow's at 24 or 25 today,
Mhm.
and then you look at the fact that, like, airlines, they took like what 95% hit on their revenue, and oil traded last week at negative $37 a barrel, and
Yep.
all these restaurants are closed and everybody's losing their job. There's 30 million people on unemployment, like all this stuff, right? And so, there seems to be like a pretty big disconnect between like what's really happening to like the operation of businesses and then like how the market is reacting to it. So that'd be like kind of like, I guess my first question of like, what do you think about that? And, Lauren, why don't you get started? But if anybody else has, feedback, chime in.
Yeah, so I do believe that unfortunately, this will probably be the great culling of American small businesses. It will probably hit small businesses harder than it does larger corporations who have been pretty flushed with cash for years. So I think that that's what I would say first. And the second thing is, if you're a business owner or if you have a business, the planning that I talked about earlier is just as important with your business as it is in your personal life. And what we're seeing right now, I'm in Beaufort, South Carolina, is like, this is a terrible phrase, but it's just true. Like, you don't know who's swimming naked till the tide goes out. And that's sort of what is happening right now.
Okay. And then kind of a follow up to that, like, so I know that like a lot of like the 2008 like financial crisis was caused by consumer backed or commercial backed mortgage securities or whatever, basically where they would like take all these really they were people that lived in houses, and they basically the banks packaged up all their mortgages and then resold them, and then they mixed them with like well collateralized and not well collateralized, and it just we just kept making piles of stuff and making products and selling products, and then all of a sudden we realized that there was sort of nothing to support the underwave. And so there's been a lot of changes to where that I'm sure Martha you could also and Lindsay, given your real estate, and Martha with banking, I mean, there we sort of made that not where that could not happen again. But I have also read a lot about where we really are doing that with corporate debt. So, CMBS for, Carnival, cruise lines, or for the airlines, or, and it's got me a little bit worried that, in fact, I like went out to make sure that I didn't know anything like that. But I mean, could that be sort of the next thing that we were not thinking of when we see like the stock market kind of ticking along? And, what happens when you have like all of this sort of public debt that's out there and treated? What do you guys think of that?
Does anyone else want to go first? I feel like I'm taking up all the airtime. Here comes Martha, I think. There you go, Lynn.
Well, I mean, I was actually just going to throw it back to you because I think you could probably speak a little bit more intelligently about that. My world is the investor portion of real estate, and a lot of the regulations, like you were just saying, Liz, did change after the 2008 and stuff. But I couldn't speak on that. So you take the floor. You go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what I would say is that the markets, there are always going to be extremely smart financial people that come up with new flashy objects that people can buy, whether that's corporations, individuals. So Liz, you may be right. That might be the next shoe to drop. I don't know, to be honest with you, but what I would say is the market will correct accordingly if that's the case. The market is incredibly efficient. So I think that just like what happened in 2008, everything was exposed. I think that really what's happening right now is the American small businesses that did not have the cash on hand to operate for an extended period of time because times have been good, they're really struggling right now. And that's going to be tough. But I think that, it could be that. And then we'll clean it up and our market will get more efficient, and then someone will come up with something more interesting to sell and we'll do it again. It's just the way it works.
Okay, so we got another good question, sort of on a lighter note of what has been the most difficult or the funniest moment of being a working woman or working mom during this time. Lindsay, you want to go first?
Wow, I could actually talk for another 30 to 45 minutes on this topic. So no, I would probably say the most difficult moment, or probably the funniest, was we are still conducting some interviews for a position that within the company, and I was in the middle of one of the Zoom interviews, and my 3.5-year-old daughter couldn't quite make it to the bathroom, so she comes right beside me and then just uses the restroom all over the floor while I'm in the middle of this interview. And I'm just, and my husband, who's also working from home right now, he was on a call, so we're like, I don't know what to do right now. It was it's definitely been a challenge. And I will say that teachers, I mean, thumbs up. I don't know how you do it. We're trying to homeschool as well, wrapping up the year, thank goodness. And wow, you guys deserve so many medals. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, that was the funniest moment for us.
I have a similar one, Lindsay, where my 9-year-old came up behind me and just did with no shirt on to show me his abs because he had just come back in with his dad from working out, and just walked right up behind me while I'm on a meeting with executives. And it's just like, Mom, look at my abs. And I'm like, well, look at his abs, guys. Okay, done. Back to the meeting. So it has been really fun and interesting balancing home life and cooking and working and being on meetings. But I also try to look at the bright side of this. Is it's great quality time that I'm having with the boys that I might typically not have, because we're running to baseball, or we're running to golf, or we're running to swimming, or we're running to all of these other activities. So that's been a welcome challenge. And my husband is an administrator. He's a teacher. And so I definitely praise him daily on on his work when he had, dealing with the high school students and dealing with students and teaching our next generation of leaders. So
I have to say, I've actually really enjoyed it. It's been something that I've never allowed myself to do, is work from home. I don't know. I always felt like there was a stigma, like I was in a male dominated industry, and if I was working from home, that would discount my work. So I have to just say, it's just been nice to be able to do that. I think bringing my actual like desktop home was kind of a game changer and making it feel legit. But it's been really nice. We've had, dogs running out, kids running in and out, but generally speaking, I've counted this as a huge blessing.
isn't that interesting, Lauren, that you just said that, maybe working from home, especially being in a male dominated field, kind of made you feel like you needed to be seen. It's interesting because in tech, it's the same, right?
Yeah.
And I absolutely I love working from home. I think I get so much done, but it's just another, layer that we as women have to deal with in some of these male dominated industries.
Yeah, I think also it's probably given them some interesting perspective. I mean, I'll share one of my funny ones is I had locked my bedroom door to get on a very important conference call with one of our bankers, and really did not need to be disturbed at all. And my 7-year-old goes out, climbs through the window of his room, crosses a patio, and comes in. And so I was just like, all right, guys, this is what just happened. And, my, the guy I was talking to was like, well, we're potty training our 3-year-old, and he actually pooped in the middle of the floor during our meeting. So just like, you had a bathroom accident too, Lindsay, so did the Clark. So, I think that, I'm not sure that he would have, thinking about, I mean, not him personally, but just guys in general. I think it's kind of given them the opportunity to see what this is all about, and kind of having that, whatever the spinning of the plates, that working moms do, is it's quite remarkable, and you just heads down and do it.
I I feel, sorry, Liz, one more thing. I also think it's interesting too, just from a business continuity standpoint, that I know at least for my team, we've been able to hit like all of our KPIs, each of us working from home. So I think it's just going to change a lot of things, the way we think about it as a culture.
Right. I almost can work from home too well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, it's like I haven't missed a beat and I'm available at all times, but
Right.
Yeah.
also supposed to be like a teacher for 4 kids and, a cooker and a cleaner and anyway, it has been, it's definitely been tough. It's been fun. And, echo what Martha was saying, just really having some quality time and kind of cutting out like a lot of the extra sort of BS with like, we're playing every sport and we're going to every dance thing and we're, this, and this, and like the whole, like, what do they call, just like the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like,
Yeah.
what if my child doesn't do this thing? Like that's all, like nobody's child is doing those things. And it's cool. And they're just, getting to be kids. And so, I mean, they'll certainly remember this time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're about time. Unless anybody has anything else they want to ask or say, I'll kind of close this up a little bit. All right. On that note, I really appreciate all of y'all participating in on our panel today, and appreciate Brooke and Swell Fundraising for kind of having the vision for online fundraising. I mean, as everybody seems to say, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And so I think that the stability of her platform has really, unfortunately, this event has pushed a lot of nonprofits kind of outside of their comfort zone in adopting technology, and so it's just really nice to see the adoption of it. And so I'm proud of another smart woman who is, silent on this call. I joined Pearl Spring, I don't know, it seems like 8 years ago, a decade ago, something like that. And there was something about the mission. I mean, I also, Martha, I have a computer science degree, and so worked as a programmer for a really long time. All of my investments have really been software. All my good ones have. I've had a couple others, but there was something really special to me about Girl Spring in the sense that it was creating like a digital environment, like a girls club, but like a digital environment where kind of meeting the girls where they are today. And it's, when Kristen joined us several years ago, she's really done a remarkable job in getting adoption on the online platform, but then also really building an offline community of girls called Springboarders that do a lot of like work together. And it's cool for somebody who has been around this long to be able to stand back and see like, wow, this is why we built this thing, right? And these girls are still able to have this like place where they can have community that's safe, get their questions answered in like kind of a supported way. And really be that online voice for girls written by girls. So it's certainly neat to see. It's cool to see that we were able to do this Hump Day Hops event virtually, and appreciate the fact that everybody's come out to support Girl Spring. And I hope everybody goes by the brewery, Cahaba Brewing, and gets some beer and continues out through, have a it's not a Sunday fun day, but a Tuesday fun day, or Wednesday. I guess we'd be Wednesday fun day if we're Hump Day Hops, but
And it's Cinco de Mayo. Get a drink.
Yeah, there you go. Cinco de Mayo. So anyway, thank you all. And
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, ladies.
Look, we get it.
We know we're the future.
And we're trying to get ready to be just that.
The future.
The future. So we could use a little help in a few areas.
Like, how about a safe place online to get some answers?
Real answers about some tough topics.
Knowledge is good.
A girl needs to be informed.
How about a place to be heard?
A place to put an opinion.
Write something that's not for school.
A place to get advice. Give advice.
Meet some new people.
Write a poem.
Find a mentor.
Take a quiz.
Be a hero.
Everybody tells girls to have self-esteem.
You can't just decide to have self-esteem.
Self-esteem is a byproduct of accomplishment.
And the more we know, the more we share,
The more we can accomplish.
Girls today are the women of tomorrow.
And the women of tomorrow have a lot of stuff to fix.
Got a cool job? Tell us about it.
Because when we see you out there,
doing what you want to do,
Making things happen.
Leading, thinking, succeeding.
We will too.
Girls Spring.
Girl Spring. Girl Spring.
it's a place of empowerment.
On behalf of Girl Spring,
And the amazing donors who support Girl Spring,
With the idea in mind that we are the future.
Please consider donating tonight.
Empower a girl, change the world.
Program. Part of our mission at Girl Spring is giving girls access to inspiring female role models like these smart ladies. We've got some things in the works, like our girl-designed app and an online career video mentoring series where girls can meet even more women like our panelists. We're proud to say that not only have we been able to serve our audience during this crazy time, but we've actually seen a 25% increase in our web traffic in the last 6 weeks, which is totally great, but we really need your support to keep it going so that one day the girls we serve will be one of those sitting on a panel one day. You can donate online to humpdayhops.swell.give, or you can Venmo us at Girl Spring. However we can get your support would be great. Thank you so much for supporting us, and thanks for tuning in today.